All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's kick it off. All right. U.S. markets kind of drifted lower. I say drifted lower. They had a reasonable little pullback there at the very end of last night's session. Not a great finish, but I don't think it's enough to really make anything significant happen. I mean, we were never up that much. I mean, that pullback looks sharp, but it's really only about 5-6 points in the S&P, so nothing. Nothing really significant. We did have the Dow that managed to keep a slight gain. We had unimpressive home sales numbers on the day. Just really kind of a bit of a non-event. We'll have to see if we have any impact from that sell-off at the end on the day, but I don't think it's going to be significant enough to make a difference. We do have Thanksgiving that's upcoming on Thursday, so just keep that in mind. Thursday and Friday will be really light. I think it's a half-day Friday on the markets, but no one's there to trade it. So Thursday obviously will be closed in the States. Friday will be a half-day. So remember, the back half of this week is going to be really, really light action, and it could be light action building up to that. All right. Let's go into, the Asian markets. We saw a bit of mixed action, mostly just the Nikkei that was down. I mean, Shanghai was just barely in the red, but same sort of thing. No real leadership out of the markets. We had maybe the yen that actually showed a little bit of strength overnight on the back of the minutes from the BOJ's October meeting. Showed some members anticipating a downside risk to the economy. So nothing obviously real significant out of Asia either, though. So the leadership's not really there for us this morning. Speaking to a few people this morning, asking me my thoughts on the market, I just kind of walk in almost as a blank slate because there's just so little leadership going into the day. We have had some selling, obviously, in the Aussie recently, but other than that, I mean, there's been very little to take cognizance of. All right, we had Naspers that were out with first half numbers this morning. Headline earnings per share at $12.48. That was above the recent guidance that they came out with in the trading statement of around $12.43. So that the HEPS number was a beat. We were a miss on the revenue per share, revenue number, 28.8 billion expected at 29.27. I don't think that these numbers will be looked at as all that negative because of the fact that we did have. We did have a trading statement out that kind of foretold this. They also had a once-off impairment charge, I believe, of 1.1 billion rand. So I think all in all, I think this will be a relatively neutral to slightly positive for Naspers on the day in my mind. They also caution going forward that second half earnings could be lower due to the acceleration investment in growth areas. I believe that they're going to invest about 7 billion this year, and they were expecting them to invest about 4.2. So that's a little bit higher on the capex, but nevertheless, I think it's a reasonable set of earnings out of Naspers. It's not on here at the moment because it's just come through on the Bloomberg terminal. 2 upgrades out of Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Longman was raised to buy versus neutral, and African Rainbow Minerals raised to buy versus neutral as well. So let's keep that in mind on those stocks today. All right. We've got the Bank of Japan, we had the release of the minutes, out overnight. We've got annualized quarter-on-quarter GDP numbers out today here locally. Expectation is for 1%. And so those are coming out at 11:30. That'll obviously give us a little bit of action on the back of those numbers if they are a big miss or a big beat. We've got building permits numbers out of the U.S. later, house price index, consumer confidence, and Richmond Fed numbers. So very little really going on there. Obviously, we've got the local GDP numbers will be something to pay attention to. All right, let's have a look at the maps. First thing I want to look at is the Aussie, and I want to just pop forward here a little bit and just kind of, where I would mark trend line to be. Let me just get that a touch lower. Resistance to be what was support now becomes resistance, and you can see there yesterday on our little green bar there, the mini green bar there, we wicked up and literally tested this level, which is right at 40,200. Came up, tested that level, failed it yesterday. Obviously, we're opening down a little bit today. This to me is kind of going to be the next little struggle that we have, is to get back over that level. So I think we need to watch that one closely. If we can break above that level, then I think we can continue to rally into year end. Until we stay below there, the bounces up there may need to be sold at the moment. So just keep that in mind. In the next few weeks in the Aussie. NASPERS, we've obviously had a nice breakout from this little flag that we had in NASPERS. We talked about that maybe 6-7 sessions ago. Yesterday we got the pop. We got the pop above what really has been sort of 955 level was kind of the top end of that range. You can see there we had 2 or 3 days where we traded above that, in some of the previous sessions, but for the most part, 955 had kind of been the top end. What's significant is that you can see here the previous closing high was, let's just have a look, 970.46. We closed up at 972 yesterday. So we have a new all-time closing high out of NASPERS. That's really significant. Like I said, to me, this range is pretty well defined here, which is 900 and call it 955. We're looking for $55 on the upside. That puts us with a target of about 1,000 Rand 10 on NASPERS, and I think that we could get there relatively quickly. I don't think that these earnings today are any reason to really sell the stock. So I think that it could be a chip shot there between now and the end of the year. It's really only a few percent. All right, let's look at MTN. MTN, we talked about yesterday and the support on the trend line that we kind of came up and tested on Friday's session, or came down and tested on Friday's session, sorry. We made such a hard run yesterday on the back of the Iranian deal and the positives that come out of that for MTN that we already pushing up against resistance today. So we're kind of narrowing here into a little bit of a maybe a, I don't know if you want to call this a flag or a little downward sloping descending triangle, whatever we got here. But bottom line is, I think if we move to the top side of this on MTN, definitely we have a higher target. So just watch it closely. We are at some sort of resistance of where we closed yesterday's session. I'd call it 199 actually. And then if we don't get above that, then we'll probably fade back and test support. So just watch that little range. We break out to either side. I think it could be an opportunity. Right, Anglo Gold. So many people asking me about golds and asking about tests and that kind of thing. Let's back out. Let's just have a look at Harmony real quick and just see how this thing's obviously dropped to new lows over the last couple sessions. You can see there it really broke down to new lows and falling out of it into a continuation pattern. GFI very much looks the same way, incredibly bearish. In fact, we're almost getting to the full target of maybe the downside here in Goldfields. But bottom line is, if you're looking to buy one, I think it's got to be the Anglo Gold. Anglo Gold definitely giving us some sort of support play as of yesterday's close. It's really grasping for straws, but there is some sort of support on the trend line here. If we drop that, then I think we will retest the lows on Anglo Gold. So I know we just did get a nice some sort of bounce out of the gold price last night. Some people like the contrarian trade here. So if you're going to go for one, I'd go for this one. All right, Tiger Brands. Tiger Brands, we'd talked about this range going into earnings. We popped above this range the day before earnings, and the earnings were quite dismal. We obviously the next day we corrected, and then 2 days later we finally got the dropout. But we regained this level on a closing basis, so we say that we remained within the range. Yesterday we dropped it, and this range, you can see how many touches. There must be 7, 8, 9 touches on the downside, as well as the upside here. So this range is incredibly well defined. I think that obviously we're going to look for this height of this channel to go down and test the downside, which is about 14 Rand, which would take us all the way down to where these recent lows were. It perfectly lines us up basically to where these recent lows were down here around 278. So watch this one closely. I think there's probably some more downside in Tiger Brands. I know it's a little bit of liquid, and it's been hard to get down until the last two sessions, but we dropped the bottom out. I think we can continue to go a little bit lower there. And then the last one I'm going to show is Bidvest. Bidvest, you can see here, I mean, we kind of dropped out of the bottom end of this channel that was just running for so long. If you really look at it, we've had this perfectly upward sloping channel now going all the way back to July, or no, all the way back to June, in fact. And we've dropped out the bottom of it. Some guys, also asking me the same sort of thing, looking for, shorting setups. There haven't been a whole lot on the, an index besides maybe a couple of our miners as of late. But this one, we've came out the bottom of this little, upward sloping consolidation, and we've came back up yesterday to kind of test what was support is now resistance, and this might be a little area to take a sell or to take a short here on Bidvest if you like that. Anyway, just kind of throwing it out as an idea. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. That's it for today.